Welcome to the Builders Podcast, episode 99. Irina Poddubnaia, SaaS founder, e-commerce tracking and shipping, capturing post-purchase traffic. Before we jump into this episode, please subscribe to this podcast, hit that notification bell if you're on YouTube, and after a listen, please give us a thumbs up, like, and share, if we've earned it. With your help, we can reach more people and deliver these valuable from the trenches lessons to those that need it. Enjoy the episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another The Builders. Today, we are here with Irina Poddubnaia. Welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thank you very much for having me here. I haven't trained as hard as you did to pronounce your surname. So you've got my respect. So thank you for pronouncing my surname.
Yeah, I somehow got it right like the first time I said
yes.
It. This is awesome.
Yes.
I must be getting better at this. So my last name is pronounced. It depends on the side of the family or where you are in the family. Some of my family calls it Levenhagen. Some Levenhagen, like my side's Levenhagen. I'm sure somewhere else in the world it's Levenhagen.
Yeah.
So you never know. Depends on who you're talking to. So we're Irina is the founder of TrackMage. So she is a guru on tracking and runs a SaaS company. So should be a really interesting conversation today. The first thing we do, though, on The Builders is we let our guest talk a little bit about themselves and how they got started in the world of business, what that entrepreneurial journey looked like, what kind of why they gravitated to business and running their own business and stuff, and who might have influenced them and all that good stuff. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you for a few minutes. It can be the short version, long version, whatever you think is interesting, and we'll take it from there. I'll keep talking, otherwise we'll keep going.
All right. I can definitely tell you a little bit about my entrepreneurial journey. So actually, it started way back when I used to work in an office, and it was this boring 9 to 5. I used to ship frozen berries like all over the world, dealing with all those invoices, bills of lading, just all the documentation part of it, and also attended some conferences to actually sell. So that was the thing that I used to do. And then at some point, I just thought that I wanted to do something that I can rightfully call my own. And then I was just looking. I was looking for certain opportunities, for different opportunities. And then I met my husband. And then we moved to China to start our first business there for who knows why. We didn't even speak Chinese at that point, and we still don't. Just to be clear, I never spoke Chinese during the whole experience. We used devices like Google Translate to translate everything. Yes. And we used a lot of systems that are available only in China, like 1688. This is Alibaba, but inside of China. We had a lot of interesting and weird experiences there. So what I can tell is that it's not easy to start a business even in your own country. But starting a business in a country where you don't understand the language, that's probably not an adventure, it's stupidity. But
let's rewind a sec. So you said you ended up there for whatever reason. What was the reason? Why did you?
The reason was really that at that point, a lot of digital marketers, they were pushing this idea of doing business with China or selling Chinese products. And we kind of took it the wrong way. So we thought if we can get the best suppliers from China, we should go to China. And then we went to China.
Is that like the Amazon thing where you could kind of outsource or white label products in China and then sell them on Amazon, that type of thing?
There were a lot of different types of advertising or digital products created about that. It's just that we were too young and too green at that point, but we didn't understand the difference. Like with doing business with China, you don't have to be in China. But we went to China because we wanted to just literally experience it on our own. We were under the impression that we could find cheap iPhones, for example. But it's not possible. Like, it's not possible. Like, it's like if you are under the impression that you can go to China and find some product that is high tech and copyrighted for a cheaper price, well, you won't. It's not possible. So that's the thing that we learned hard way. But for the first year, we didn't even understand what we wanted to do there, what we needed to do. We still continued to work online, and my husband is a software developer. I was just helping, I believe, at that point, and my skills were not applicable in China at all. And at that point, my skills were mainly related to sales and mainly related to communication. But in China, you cannot do that. I had to sell outside, and at that point, it was around 10 years ago. Internet or remote working or remote connections, they were not very widely spread. Even then, before COVID, people didn't even know what Zoom was. It was just literally
that's crazy to think about that. Yeah, it's crazy to think just 3-4 years ago that Zoom wasn't known by, that was even a thing for a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah, and now everyone knows what Zoom is, and even just the older generation, the housewives, everyone. And that's it.
Right.
So the thing was that we started the business in China, and then we kind of figured out what actually people wanted from us. So we started helping retailers actually place their wholesale orders through us to Chinese suppliers. And that's how we ended up with a fulfillment center in the end. We had our own warehouse, our own apartment, and everything was created. Everything was connected in the system. And at some point when we were too tired of manual errors or just problems with tracking or customers asking too many questions, we automated everything. It helped that my husband was a software developer because he automated everything. Whatever I had in an Excel spreadsheet, I could give it to him, and then we got the automated system.
It's very convenient that you hired a software developer rather than a bricklayer or something.
Yes, that's I guess it was a blessing and a curse at the same time, because when he was working on the software, I just kind of I exhausted myself doing everything else, the sales, the marketing, the customer communication, fulfillment of orders, just managing our logistics, everything. Because I said you sit there and code, and I'm gonna do everything else, and it was very exhausting. At some point, our business, businesses are uneven. We suffered, for half a year, probably, we suffered a decrease in sales because one of our major customers just switched to a different provider. And then, I just realized that wasn't something that I wanted to do my whole life. My English was deteriorating because I wasn't using it that much. And I learned something like a Chinese version of English, because you have to communicate to Chinese suppliers through the messengers. You have to learn how to structure the words so that the translation is correct. So something like, you have no have goods, ah? That's the perfect phrase in Chinese, because you have no have goods, ah? That's what I was writing in those messengers, so that I could
that's
get
really gonna mess you up,
Chinese.
because you're originally from Bulgaria.
Yeah.
Is that
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah. So now you're trying to learn English, and now you're in a different country, and and it's messing with you now.
Well, I guess English was always my asset, but in China, not a lot of people spoke English. Everyone spoke Chinese. So, I still question my reasoning when we were going there. But that wasn't the end of the journey. It was just barely the beginning. So after that business went bust, or rather, we closed it because it wasn't profitable enough, and it was very exhausting because, again, with 100 customers, we already already had like an enormous load of packages and logistics and customer queries and everything that we had to manage. And again, I was probably just, I could say that like 80% of that was on my shoulders. And then the programming side and just automating everything was on my husband's.
Yeah.
But then what happened after that? When we went back to Bulgaria, and probably around 3 or 4 years, we were not even thinking about starting another business because we said like, okay, we're fed up. Like we survived in China, but like we're done. We're not going to start another company, another startup. But then what do you know? 5 years ago, we started a company because we thought that we could really bring over all of our knowledge about the shipping, the logistics, and package tracking and customer support into a system that can serve our e-commerce entrepreneurs. And that's how TrackMage was created. And TrackMage is handling everything from fulfillment to like getting reviews from the customers. So it's the entire post-purchase experience for the customers. Yeah, just to give you an analogy, maybe. So when you order on Amazon, remember how you are getting this beautiful page that shows you like the time of delivery, like the estimated time of delivery.
Mm-hmm.
Then it shows you the progress of your package, where it is. Then it asks you for a review. So we take all this fancy functionality and make it available on our platforms. The platforms like Shopify, WooCommerce, ClickFunnels, and whatever tool connects to Zapier, because we have integration Zapier. Yeah.
Nice. Now you're speaking my language. All right.
Yes.
Now, just to kind of rewind for a second, I think it's always fascinating because a lot of people's entrepreneurial journeys are not linear. They're not simple. There's, especially if you just dive into something you don't have a lot of experience with it. It's kind of like feeling your way through that and trial and error and then learning that this shouldn't be what you're doing. I think that's a very common thing, especially if you got that kind of in your blood where you just want to, that's a great idea, let's do it. And you try to plan it, you try to think through it. You probably did a lot of planning up front when you went to China. You're like, we got this.
Yeah. And then I was selling frozen berries in bulk. Like, what could happen? Like, I know the business. Like, right. I know everything. Like,
yeah. But put yourself in another environment, not so much. But then you're like, I'm done with this. And then something in you is just like, got this other business idea. And what you said is you basically, even though I don't know if you consider yourself a failure in that realm. I don't know, where you land with that. Maybe it was a semi-success and you just decide not to do it anymore. But
I guess I would say that it was a failure because that business was draining, and mental health and physical health is the most important part. Because if you're dead, it doesn't matter if your business is a success. Like,
that's true.
Just like for all the people who are working remotely or working on their own business, like it's crucial to maintain yourself. It's crucial to create a business that you enjoy doing instead 100%. Of the business that's going to just like suck everything out of you.
Yeah, it's even for me with building my agency, building a team, but still it's a lot. It's not for everybody. That's for sure. I can tell you, running an agency is not for everybody. But at various stages, it's like you're doing a lot of stuff, and it can lead to burnout if you're not careful. And but what's cool about it though, we all learn from our lessons. They're not good at the time. Like failure is not good necessarily. It doesn't feel good. But if you can now leverage that knowledge that you have towards something else and kind of channel it towards something else, that can be really powerful and actually give you a competitive advantage. And I can use an example in my life where, in the 2000s, I did a lot of internet marketing. I did affiliate marketing, pay-per-click advertising. I did a lot of stuff back then. And I had good years and bad years through those that time. But when I decided to go into web design development, I was able to leverage a lot of that knowledge and experience and what not to do and what to do with your websites and with your selling stuff on the web. And I was able to leverage all that knowledge, even though not all of it was good. You still learn from it, which is exactly what you're doing here, which is awesome.
Yeah. Well,
Totally.
it definitely helps to experiment. But again, sometimes like I wish I made some different decisions, but again, I wish I didn't, because what is really good about life, it's not ending tomorrow, ideally, because like we can never guarantee that we don't die, but it's not ending. And something that I considered a failure, or for example, an expense. So we opened the company in Hong Kong. And at that point, it was unbearable cost for us to maintain the company, just to pay the fees for all the all the audits and accounting. But after the years later, now I understand that it was the best solution that we could have ended with, and it was the best thing that we could have brought with us from China, because. Yeah, it's really easy to operate with Hong Kong companies like remotely, and with our countries, I just don't know if any setup like that could exist. Like I haven't heard about any other countries where you don't have to be in person to just operate the company and just do everything that's needed.
Yeah, it's interesting. So you get it, you'll start the tracking, you're focused on tracking. Was that the thing, was that a problem you saw in the kind of the marketplace that needed a solution to? Is that something, because you knew that was a big part of what you were doing in your other businesses, tracking and stuff, but you just see that is the reason you went towards that and that model, or building a software around that? Is it because did you do a little research to find out this is missing in the marketplace? People can't track if they're using Shopify.
At that point when we started building it, yes, it definitely was missing, or maybe I was just not doing research diligently enough, because like right now, like I dug up some good competitors, but most of them are startups, and they are funded startups, and I'm just hesitant to call if it's validation or it's just the negative. Because the idea itself is appealing, and the thing is about this niche, that it definitely is needed, but not a lot of businesses actually realize that there is an opportunity there. So what businesses, they are interested in sales and acquiring more customers. But once you acquire those customers, what do you do with those customers? Do you retain them? Do you sell to them again? Do you actually continue growing your business? That's the opportunity that lies in providing the post-purchase experience. So I have, I shop online frequently, and not only for research purposes, but also for leisure. And what I see is that the platforms, they get it right. So Amazon provides the very good post-purchase experience, eBay as well. But when it comes to standalone stores, they completely miss the boat. They don't show additional products that could be bought. They don't send any updates about the package tracking. They just send a single email that redirects me to an UPS page where I don't see any information even. I see the tracking number and it says that it's in transit, but when I go to TrackMage, copy the tracking number and see, it's in customs, I need to call them, okay. So there is an opportunity to not only take all this additional traffic. By the way, the traffic is not insignificant. Every customer that is waiting for the order, from our statistics, checks the order tracking page 1 or 2 times per day when they are actually interested in getting the thing that they ordered. And what happens is that they see UPS instead of your brand. They see FedEx or DHL or whatever. And all this traffic kind of gets wasted. Amazon doesn't waste this traffic, because every time you come back to Amazon, you always see additional products that you could buy, and you can get sucked back into buying process. But why e-commerce stores predominantly don't do this is beyond me. I just don't understand. They're losing the opportunity to sell to the same customers, and they're losing the opportunity to showcase their brand again, just because this is the opportunity where customers, they are already coming to the store. And another great thing about this is that this information is not considered marketing by the customers themselves. They understand that this is transactional. This is an update about my order. It's important. And that's why they always click on those emails, like 60% open rate.
Sure. Yeah. So what you're saying is, and this is, I think, first of all, I think the reason people aren't doing it is because they don't know to do it. They're not, no one's telling them, like, that's, part of this is probably education and reaching out to these people, or being on podcasts and talking about it.
Yes. Yes. Why? Yes. Like, I'm trying to educate the public. Yeah.
But it is possible. This is why I perk up too, because I do web development. I do manage e-commerce stores and things like that, some physical product stores, and that's something that I don't see them implementing. And it is something that, even my current clients might be interested in. And because what you're saying is basically, we've all done it. We've ordered something and we go to a page, where is our shipment? What stage is it in, or whatever? But it's always on a third-party site. It's always on some, Amazon or wherever, where they're giving you that information, UPS. Why not have that traffic instead go to your site? Now, where I think you're headed with this is, now you have the tracking information, but now instead of showing Amazon products, you're maybe cross-selling to other products you have, or marketing to them, or providing them some opportunity to opt into something else.
Also, you can show your social media, and those customers, they can actually engage with the posts. So that always helps to get the word around. And in the end of this whole process, they get the request to leave a review. Not a lot of businesses, they actually ask for a review to begin with, just because I just don't know why. They don't ask for a review because maybe they don't think it's important. But with reviews, you can leverage them in various ways, even asking the customers to share the reviews on social media, where they can showcase like your amazing product and how they're using it. And then you get extra sales from those customers who have seen the post, because they also want the thing that the customer is leaving a review about. Yeah.
Well, you're hitting on a huge thing here, because it's like the interaction or the relationship doesn't end at the purchase of, like, they purchase something. Okay, now it's on to the next customer, but you can leverage tools like this or whatever to market to that person and make them a lifelong customer, or, like I said, upsell or do whatever, and make either. You're building that relationship too along the way, because they are, the more exposure they have with you, and the more you can follow up with them and offer them more things, the more they'll start to build a relationship with you where they want to buy more stuff from you. So that's good. Yeah. What other opportunities besides, so you can display other products, and is this stuff that your tool does? I mean,
yes, we have a product slider that connects to the collections of the store. So if you're using Shopify or WooCommerce or any other platform where you can get an XML feed, or like we support other formats like Atom for Shopify. Like, I'm trying to connect the dots in my head. Yeah. So the thing is, you can update that feed automatically. So you don't have to do anything inside of a tool. It's just going to pull your newest collection from the store. And the slider is also animated. What we have seen is that the conversion went from like 1% to 2% to 7% just when we introduced the moving slider.
It starts to slide every once in a while. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. It just moves, and people see, oh, there are more products to buy. That's great. Another thing that we actually have there is the ability to display the page in the local language for the customer. So they don't have to guess, and they don't have to misunderstand anything. If you are shipping internationally, you might provide one single page with all the localizations available. So that's another opportunity. And we also have email notifications, because those pages, they should get to the customer, and the email notifications, they are going out based on the status of the package. So if a package is in transit, we notify about that. If a package is delivered to the point of to the pickup, we send another email notifying the customer about the package, and they need to come and collect it. Actually, that was a lifesaver for one of our celebrity clients, because they had this problem where people were not actually collecting the comic book that they ordered. So they had around like 1,000 packages in various post offices just waiting for their respective customer. And nobody was notified about that because of postal services were failing at that point. And when we introduced TrackMage, for Metal Family, that's exactly the customer I'm talking about. For Metal Family, that turned from like 1,000 packages in those post offices to around 45. That's a rolling average, because people do collect them. Once we receive a notification, they do collect them.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Otherwise they don't know. Right. So do you have, so volume wise, is it I think I remember in our initial conversation there was something you had to learn, like about volume or something. You had a lot of stuff coming in, or am I not remembering? Your things were failing or something. You learned that big lesson. What was that?
I believe that was exactly the Metal Family story. So when we first introduced the software to their audience, by the way, it's around 3 million right now. So they are creating an animated series, basically a cartoon, on YouTube about a family of metalheads. It's called Metal Family. So what they did,
metalheads, okay.
Yes. Like it's a great cartoon. You really like they're writing their own songs. They are creating this great world, and the characters, they are very relatable. So the thing is, when we introduced the merchandise on their store for the first time, we were not anticipating the kind of sheer desire of their audience to buy something from them, because we printed the 10,000 comic books initially, the first batch, and we were thinking that this is going to sell in 2 months. It was sold in 1 week, even less than that.
Wow.
And they had to just process all those 10,000 orders, and like in the state of sheer chaos, because customers themselves, since the audience is not very mature, it's a cartoon, by the way, so that's why. And the audience was making some typos in the email address, in the actual shipping address. And when the customer makes a typo in an email address, they don't receive a notification. Sure. And they don't know if the comic book is coming or not. They got charged money, but they don't get the receipt. And it was very problematic. And that's why customers were pestering them on every social media channel we knew about, and on email, like five questions like, where is my comic book, on every social media from one customer. And then multiply it by 10,000, you will get the idea.
Yeah, wow, that sounds insane.
Yeah. So every third email was with a typo, so that's roughly gives us like 3,000 people with like 15,000 customer support requests, like the person made a mistake. Wow. Right. So
and you learn from this lesson.
Well, we actually helped resolve that situation, like prevent it entirely, because what TrackMage also has is the script that allows to validate the email address before it actually gets like submitted. It just validates like John at Gmail, and did you mean Gmail? That's exactly what the script is going to give it.
Yeah, nice.
Right. So that's what we introduced.
Yeah, validation is important. Can solve a lot of problems. So that's awesome. That's a real world example, a good case study of what your solution can do, solving a problem like that, and having insights into what's going on, and the validation and stuff. That's huge for e-commerce. Your tool, is it just post? Like after the order, or do you have abandoned carts? Do you have anything like that, or is it just everything the delivery side of things?
Currently, we're just focusing on fulfillment side of things. So
Okay.
when there is a dropshipping store and they buy from various suppliers, that's what we did in our first business. We support this intricate workflow where you need to buy from a supplier and then you need to wait for them to ship. We have additional counters like days in idle, for example, like there is nothing happening with the package. And if it's happening for way too long, we need to notify the actual store owner to take measures. Because, for example, you buy from one dropshipping supplier and they say that we shipped the goods and they provide the tracking number. But then there's like day 1, day 2, day 3, nothing's happening. And this is the counter. This is what the counter is showing. So you can literally prevent all the problems before the customers actually notice those problems. Because one thing is prolonged delivery time, but the other thing is that your supplier haven't shipped anything, or they provided you a fraudulent tracking number. You need to file a refund. And for fulfillment side, we also provide a lot of functionality and a lot of visibility, because you literally see all the shipments in the system with analytics, and you know which supplier is performing the best, or which actual carrier is the best for specific destinations. So we've got a lot of hard stuff, I would say, and also we have a functionality for wholesalers, because wholesalers, they're dealing with like one order could have hundreds of packages in them. And this is why it's very hard for wholesalers to even receive email notifications or something like that, because if you just configure it the standard way, they will get 100 email notifications. That's not an ideal workflow. So you could just literally send them one tracking link, and all those hundreds of shipments are going to be displayed on one single page. So you can forget about Excel spreadsheets altogether.
Interesting. Is there some kind of like, so now I'm thinking to somebody going back to see where their order's at and they're offered that carousel of products. Are you offering the tracking of those conversions, or are you just integrate with Google Analytics or something to track the conversions, like see like what you're implementing all this, but what is the impact on sales and stuff like that? That would be the question. Yeah.
Right now, we're working on our internal analytics that's going to be very thorough, and that's going to track every conversion and every visit of a customer. But by default, every tracking page has a scripts page where you can input the Google Analytics script or whatever analytics you are using, and you will be able to see it inside of your analytics software like Hotjar or Google Analytics. Right. That's going to work.
Nice. Yeah. That's good. Very cool. So it sounds like you, and this is always the thing, like when you first built the software, obviously from day one, you didn't envision everything. You didn't know this is exactly what everyone's going to want for the next 20 years. You probably started out some maybe minimal viable, and then you're kind of, as time goes on, as you get feedback, you're kind of adding features and so on and so forth over time, like we're talking about here.
Exactly like that. Originally, the tool started as like Zapier for tracking numbers. I'm still waiting for the workflow builder to be finished. Like, I'm still waiting. Like 5 years in development. We developed everything else but the workflow builder. This is like one of the greatest pains in my existence, because I wanted to have the ability to create some intricate automations, and we just don't have it. But we do have integration with Zapier and Integrately, where you can create those automations, and then it's going to work as it was supposed to work.
Yeah, Zapier is amazing. I was just playing around with a lot. I spent half my weekend in Zapier trying to do some automations internally for our internal systems to track things. It sounds a lot of fun. One of the things I know, as somebody that does a lot, we kind of have our own products too. We're developing and stuff, and WordPress plugins and things like that. And it's always hard, because if you have this vision for your product, and you have all this stuff you want to do, but you can't do it all at once. It's impossible to do it all at once. You have to get something out there. You got to get it, start getting feedback. Get something, like I said, minimal viable out there. Like I have plugins, like I have all these ideas for features, but I had to stop at like 5% of those features just so we can get it out and get it out to the world. But then you're like, it's hard to wait. It's like, oh man, I would just wish we could just focus on this right now and get that feature out. But yeah, it takes some patience.
It builds like enormous resilience or something like that, because
Yeah.
like I was impatient before. Now after 5 years of doing this, like I am very much tranquil. I don't know, like if that's the right word. Like I'm very patient. Like I'm fine with just paying for the development work and waiting for them to develop it, because I strongly believe that software needs to be the quality. Like it needs to create this experience for the actual user, that it doesn't like that it really provides what they wanted, that it really does what it was supposed to do. Because a lot of times when I use software, like I just expect the software to do what it was supposed to do. But when I encounter a bug here, there, the most odious experience in my life is using Facebook. Because Facebook has so many bugs, even in places you never suspect they would. Because like I tried creating some ads, and I tried just granting my virtual assistant access to a page. Everything is broken, like everything. I don't know what they are doing there. They're probably creating the new VR device, but
yeah, they're focused on other things. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Their main business was advertising. Like why did you break it?
But you're right. I mean, like you don't. I have a kind of an experience, very recent, very raw, very recent experience with a plugin, a shipping plugin, actually. Oh. And I won't say who it was, but very robust, like an advanced plugin for shipping, very robust, has a ton of features, right? And that's great. So that's why we use it. But then we had a scenario, kind of a unique edge case scenario with a client to be able to kind of construct their shipping in a very specific way, like fixed shipping, but it was broken into like product types, and I won't go on into it. And it seemed very intuitive. Okay, this is it. This is how you set it up, and then you start testing on the front end, and it was like double charging. It was doing all this weird like stuff that it was not supposed to be doing, and so I'm like, intuitively, I studied this thing. You spent like hours. I'm like, there's got to be a setting. I tried the premium version of the plugin, did all this stuff, and it turns out, finally, I contact their support, and they're like, yeah, we can't do this. It doesn't work. This won't work. I'm like, what do you mean it won't work? This is how you. This is what it looks like it should do. It should work. And they actually, well, we can develop that for you. We'd have to charge you. I'm like, why are you're going to charge me to help you build the feature that you already have that should be working? They're trying to get us to pay for it. But it's what I bring that up because I think about, you were talking about how important it is for the software, whatever, just to work and do what the client needs or the customer needs. And sometimes you get these really robust and complicated plugins where it's like, or like a Facebook's in the world where you got all this stuff, all these features and stuff, but then, half of them are broken or don't work the way they're supposed to work. It's like, maybe it's just like narrow your focus a little bit or try to build one piece at a time and actually figure out.
It's much more complex than that. So you should implement testing. Like everything needs to be tested. Like there should be automated tests, like unit tests, regression tests, and like we have 3 layers of tests, and it's not even enough. We still catch bugs. We have a QA team, and we're investing the effort to make sure that everything we build is still working after we introduce a new feature. Because that's the most interesting part about software development. It goes exponentially. If you don't reduce your technical debt, so with introduction of every new feature, you're going to the exponential bugs. Because like the more you're denying your team the ability to write tests, to do diligent regression testing, and just
Right.
do everything that's needed, the more you're going to start ghost hunting. Because everything
Mm.
looks like it's working, but whenever you click, like there is a pop-up 500 error, whatever it is, it's just not calculating correctly, and who knows what else could come up. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what the complexity is. When you're building not just a plugin, not just a single feature software, but a whole platform with multiple intricate features that need to connect to one another and work together. Well, that's how that's how it is, and that's how it is for every software company, I believe. But most of the startups that I know of, they just don't invest in testing.
I could see that. Yeah. I mean, you want to just, let's build all these features. It's not test every single scenario and do unit testing and all that. I can equate to that from like launching a website, right? You build a website, and at the end, especially if it's a complicated like e-commerce store, like we're in the process. Actually, we're hopefully launching next week a store with like thousands of products. Actually, within that, there's like 15, 20,000 different variations of products. And
Awesome.
but it's required. Not only, we're doing testing as we're building the site and building out all these features and dealing with this shipping plugin, but we're build a lot of custom work and stuff in there. But through it all, we're testing. But then we have to take the time before the launch to do further deeper testing on all this stuff, but then also bring in other people to test. One of the things I love to do is just, like even internally, if like I have a support person or somebody else in your company or whatever that's doesn't know anything about what you just did, and get them in there, they'll find bugs and they'll find, edge cases that you didn't even catch. But testing, that's very, very important.
Yeah, it's very important because you realize that in the end, like if you don't find those bugs, the customers will. And they're going to churn. They're going to just like close the window and you will not see them again.
Yeah.
That's the problem. And that's why testing, specifically in e-commerce stores, is very important. And with currency conversions, like we had an enormous problem at some point when the currency conversion wasn't working correctly, and like the company just lost around like $900 US, and then we had to just write to those customers saying like, oh, you were charging correctly, can you please send the money? Some of them did. Well, which was restored my faith in humanity.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, and that's why it's actually when we do some testing, sometimes we'll have a launch date and we have to push that launch date off. But we'd rather catch those bugs before we go live, so we're not dealing with even small features. Like we do a lot of maintenance, and for some e-commerce stores and sites. Memberships.
Can I tell you a nightmare story about like launching one website? They launched the website and it was a funnel. And the funnel, in the funnel itself, they didn't switch the test Stripe account with the production Stripe account.
Oh, no.
A lot of customers, they got their products, like they were digital products, without paying a dime. Like it was
so
a nightmare.
They still delivered.
Well, actually, it was a digital course. It was a digital course, but again, in this and when they were just looking for the person who was supposed to switch over the account, but it happens so often. If you don't test, the customers are going to test it for you, and you're going to lose money if you're talking of e-commerce or funnels. You have to test at least the payment part. It needs to be. It needs to be done.
It's 100%, because I mean, dollars are at stake. That's why before we launch this, I will, have the actual client do a couple live test, even before we've done all our testing, just a couple live test purchases right before launch, to ensure that the cart's working, everything's where it should be, and we don't have sandbox in there anymore. That's important. Yeah, it's so many. Especially, it depends on obviously the size of the business and what the revenue is, number of sales per day, but it can, something's broken for an hour, you can lose hundreds or thousands of dollars depending on the client. And so, yeah, testing. It's a good thing.
I wish I could tell that to Mark Zuckerberg, because like, what did you do with your software? Like,
Well,
why would you do?
Yeah, there's a guy that's all over the place. I mean,
Yes.
you could say, I mean, you got your Elon Musk and your all of these where they have multiple companies and they're spread out. Obviously, they have teams handling them, but it's still you can still spread yourself too thin.
Well, I would say that, like, I would argue that they are losing money just because of that. Because they are breaking their own software. They have released like the third version of the UI, which nobody asked for. Yeah, and then everything is broken. Like, why?
Right. Yeah.
Why?
Well, they should be doing. They do, like, I think they roll it out. Maybe I think they're constantly doing testing and stuff too, like segments and stuff like that.
On customers, like they don't do testing themselves. Like they just roll it out to customers, and the customers they don't even have the customer support, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what kind of like.
Yes. Yeah, how do you know there's a problem if they can't even tell you if there's a problem?
Yes.
Yeah. No, that's it. Yeah, that's a whole other thing. Like I just can't believe why did he have to go all in on Meta, on metaverse? Like,
because it was the hype thing, I think.
Yeah, but it's a hot thing, but don't like sacrifice your whole company for it. I mean, I guess you can do that. I mean, there's, it is risk. I mean, it's business, but at the same time, like, could you just like phase it in?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, when we were just changing the name of the company from Facebook to Meta, I was just like, okay, that's not gonna end well, just because of previous experience with branding and how people they associate with certain things with certain words. Like, you just cannot rebrand the company with this huge without any repercussions after that.
Well, I think there's some companies have pulled it off. Like, you think about like Google, like Alphabet, like they sort of went, but they never really got rid of it. Google, though, Google was still they just wanted to diversify into other things. But it's like, what? But he could have done that though. Like, you don't have to, rebrand the Quest and all that stuff. Like,
well, I think it's just going to be, time will tell who is going to stay in this market. Like, we just don't know. Like, that's exactly what is problematic about those big companies. We can never predict what we're going to do next. And we cannot even build any tools based on that. Because who knows what Facebook's interface is going to look like tomorrow, or like that's the kind of unreliability that I just don't appreciate with like third-party software tools. And that's why we just like in TrackMage we stay consistent with the interface. Even though I hire different designers, I always say like, okay, this is our brand book. This is how we do things. Like, do it. Because if you give 5 different designers the same interface, we're going to go crazy. And we had that problem initially where we had like, okay, this part of the interface doesn't look anything like the other part of the interface. Yeah,
it's important to have that uniformity across everything. Yeah, for sure. Well, this is a great conversation. We could keep talking for all day about this stuff.
Forever.
Well, we can always have you back again. We'll have a part 2. So no, it's great having you, Irina. Great conversation. I am kind of a nerd when it comes to this stuff. I love tracking and all that stuff, and could talk about it for hours too, just that. But if somebody needed to find you on the web, are you on any of the social media platforms or anything? Or like LinkedIn, or what's your favorite platform? Twitter?
My favorite platform is LinkedIn, just for whatever reason. I just stick there, and it's easier to find people there, and I like the type of content. On Facebook, it was like love-hate relationship. At some point, I just deleted my account and forgot about that place altogether. Yeah, and then with Twitter, like, I'm still trying to figure that thing out because I just don't know if it's gonna work. but maybe it's gonna work. When you're on Twitter to have fun, I think you have better chance to start trending or just get likes or followers when you're doing it for business. But I guess a lot of copywriters were doing great on Twitter.
Yeah,
I'm not a copywriter, but I have to adjust to the game.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think it's almost individual to the company and the person, and what your personality is, and who your target market is. We try to be everywhere, but like Facebook, I would love to just get rid of Facebook completely. It doesn't, when nothing happens there. Twitter's okay, like for us, but yeah, LinkedIn is like where it's at for us too, as an agency and stuff. But and Instagram, again, it's one of those things, like I wish I could just not do it, but we keep it there for our branding.
What about TikTok? Have you tried that?
I have tried it, but I do not do it now.
Okay.
I was doing all the dances in the early days.
Oh, okay.
Little comedy.
Yeah, business content is also popular there. So like you could just start explaining some stuff in 20 seconds. Like, oh, how do you run an agency in 20 seconds? Like, watch me. This is how.
Well, I do. We have a YouTube channel we started this past year. So we're doing some more video content and stuff. So it is one of those things I know would be probably easy enough to start implementing there. I just gotta, we make decisions along the way. We'll see what happens in 2023. Right. But other than that, your website is TrackMage, and that's TrackMage.com.
Yes. TrackMage.com. And on TrackMage, you can also like scroll down and find us on all the social media as well. So and we do have a TikTok account, but I'm not doing much there yet.
No, not doing any dances or anything. No, you actually got a really cool site. Actually, I like it. I like the animations on your site. It's fun. It's engaging. Yeah.
We really worked hard on that, because I said, like, I want an animated website. Other companies do that. Like, we need to figure that stuff out. Like, they said, like, oh, we should use Webflow. No, we shouldn't. Like, Webflow is using some JS animation. Figure it out. We figured it out. Like, just
is this Webflow?
No. It's just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Gotcha. Also embedded into WordPress because we needed some CMS system. That's it.
Yeah, nice. That's awesome. TrackMage, and remind me again. We will end this eventually. Yeah. So remind me again what's kind of your top maybe 3, 4, 5 different CMS you work with. You would obviously Shopify, WooCommerce, and any other Magento.
Magento is in the plans. Like we have a lot of systems that we want to integrate with, but just we don't have a capacity. We wanted to focus on one platform and maybe a couple of platforms, and then once we have all the features, then we will propagate that integration to our platforms.
Good idea.
So right now we have a WordPress plugin, that's the WooCommerce part. We have a Shopify app that you can just like one click install and it works. And with ClickFunnels or other funnel software, we have the integration with Zapier and Integrately. Integrately is just like a cheaper version of Zapier, but again, it works. And we also have a Slack app, but it's currently in the works. And a lot of customers, they enjoy it just because they understand how the packages are being delivered, and if there is a problem, they just see it as a notification in Slack and they can react. So that's a really cool feature.
Interesting. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I use Slack. Yeah. So nice. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Have a good rest of your day.
My pleasure, and thank you for having me here.
You bet. Take care. That's all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, please subscribe if you haven't already, and give us a thumbs up if we deserve it. If you want to comment on this episode's page, provide me with requests on topics for future episodes, or inquire about being a guest, please find your way to thebuilders.fm. You can contact me there or add a comment under these show notes. Now a word from our sponsor, my agency, Unified Web Design. We build custom websites, features, we maintain websites, we work with agencies to fulfill their web design and development needs, and more. If you're interested in our services or are looking for an agency to work with as a partner to build awesome sites for your clients, feel free to reach out to me at unifiedwebdesign.com. There's a handy contact me link at the top, fill out that form and it will open a ticket, and that ticket will find its way to me. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you next time.